really good piece in Rolling Stone as well by Matt Taibbi, that discussed how Bernie Sanders missed a really big opportunity to really drive home the case for Wall Street reform. Everyone complains, not everyone, but a lot of people complain that Wall Street reform, campaign finance reform, you know, those two issues are like Bernie's just blindsided and he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's talking about things that aren't important to the average person. That's really not true. It's a Rolling Stone article. I think it was published either today or yesterday. And it just was laying out how some of the first victims, so we talk about the 2008 crash, right? When we talk about the 2008 crash, some of the first victims were actually people of color and elderly, right? And of course, low income families. When you look at some of the statistics in different jurisdictions, like when you look at New York, for example, when you look at home ownership, you know, home buyers making over $65,000 a year, I think it was, when they're being offered loans, you could have this similar set of circumstances financially. You could have a white family and a black family. And have we heard of the Anti-Corruption Act? I'm going to be honest with you, Marcus. Thank you very much. That's something to put on my list. I'm actually not very familiar with it, but it's definitely something that I'm going to now look up because I don't like being caught off guard when you guys ask questions. But no, it's not something I'm familiar with. I know there's quite a few different things out there. I know there's, so I'm not even going to try and pretend or BS my way through that. No, I'm not familiar with it at all. But I'm going to be now. So thank you for raising that. That's, yeah. But we have these instances where you have similar situated people and they will be treated differently by, you know, loan by lenders, right? By mortgagers and stuff. You know, they'll be the black couples they found in these instances were, like, I think it was 5 times more likely or something like that, offered riskier products or trying to push into higher interest, risky products, subprime lending. There was another group that they called, like, the subprime loans, they basically called them ghetto loans, right? That they targeted specific people. Like, this stuff was very purposeful. And you know, like, there were so many different layers and issues. And the article just talks about how, you know, Hillary Clinton, during, I think it was a debate, she made a comment like, okay, Wall Street reform, will that end racism? And the article, the focal point is that she actually opened up a floodgate of criticism, critique, and conversation that really could have and should have happened. And she left herself wide open because it really actually did disregard the fact that there is a huge racial disproportion in the way people were affected. We talk about, and Bernie has touched on it, right? But this goes back to the critique about him, about how he focuses primarily through a lens of class and does not really get the racial connections very well. And I think that's a fair assessment to make, because reading this piece, you know, there's some of the things that I personally did not really make and connect to myself. So I think I was like, oh yeah, that would have been a great way, you know what I'm saying, to talk about this. I mean, and thinking about, I know I personally have talked about things like, you know, the effects of different policies that have happened over the last 25, 30 years that affected and reduced the number of, you know, banks owned by people of color. You know, having local, small, community-owned banks, whatever, who are invested in the actual community versus these bigger lenders that ended up just pumping our community with subprime loans. And, you know, we now see communities even still suffering from the collapse from when the balloon bust. So that was a good piece. I think that you guys should check that out. I'll definitely tweet that out afterwards as well.